started.
All right, the time is now 6 o'clock. We're going to start beginning really soon. We're going to allow people a little bit more time to join in on this conversation. All right, good evening, Star Pupils. I'm your host, friend, and life coach, Mrs.Divine Awakening. So today is our second part of our webinar, our weekly webinar. Last week we talked about the power of the subconscious mind, and today we're going to be talking about the power of imagination. And I'm going to start by telling you the story about how I became a billionaire overnight. Okay, so about a month ago, I began seeing the importance of visualizing where I want to be in the future. It was easy for me to look at my current situation and speak about what I didn't want and about how I just wanted to be more financially secure. But it never crossed my mind to spend time imagining what it looked like if I were wealthier. What did it actually mean for me to be financially secure? All right, so this night in particular, I sat in the bed with my journal and I started writing, just creative writing about what it would look like to see me as a billionaire, to see me having the financial security I felt like I deserved and that I wanted from life. So I sat there and I started describing, the types of clothes I would have on, what kind of car I would have, how I would be debt-free. I would pay off all my student loans. I would make sure my family had all their loans paid off too. I started imagining how my home would look, how many rooms. So I decided, okay, if I was financially secure, I would own land. I would actually buy land, acres of land. So I didn't just have a home next to neighbors. I had a big plot of land where I could do whatever I wanted to do on that plot of land. And I started to think about how many rooms would I have? Okay, I would have about 5 bedrooms, and I would definitely have a mother-in-law's quarter for my mother because I plan on her living with me when I do become wealthy and financially secure like I want it to be. So in my room, I would have a walk-in closet. I started to think about the walk-in closet that my husband would have, what kind of sheets would be on my bed, what kind of decorations I would have on my walls. I knew that I have these pictures of me and him that I wanted to mount on my walls, and that's exactly how I saw it being. I thought about my kitchen. I would have an open kitchen where I could see into other areas of the house, and I wasn't going to be locked into, just the kitchen. And while I cooked, I could see everybody as I made meals. I saw my refrigerator and how much storage space it had for the lifestyle I live, which is I eat more plant-based diet. I saw the type of granite table countertops that I wanted. I saw the table that I wanted. The lights were bright enough for me. I saw the different color my kitchen would be painted from the rest of the house, my wooden floors. I saw how my bathrooms looked, how my tubs looked, the types of rugs I would have, the decoration throughout my home. I saw what type of wash machine I would have. I even saw my garage, my 3-car garage. And I saw the brick pavement that led up to my garage, my driveway. I saw that when I walked around to the back, the amount of land we had was so vast, I was able to have a garden where I can plant my fruits and vegetables for my family. I saw I had a little farmyard area where I had a couple of chickens. I had a cow. I had a horse. I had a little small farm where I felt I could have that country feel that I love. I had a spot for my dog. He had his own area where it was him and another dog. So I got another dog for him so he wouldn't be alone. They had their dog houses and all their little toys and exercise and things out there, little activities for the dogs to do. I even saw the tree house that we built for my son. I saw the party area where if we were to host an event, we had barbecue grill out there. We had another kitchen. It looked like a kitchen, but it was like an open kitchen, and it was an outdoor open kitchen. So the grill fit in there. It looked like a stove, but it was really a grill. And there was a little refrigerator just to keep things cool. It was just a nice little prep area so we can do everything we needed outside and not have to go in and out of the house. There was a creek that went through the backyard and it was really scenic, where I had a big tall oak tree, and I could go out there and I can meditate. I can do my yoga. I can read. I can just be in nature like I like to do. There was an area for me to do my knife throwing that I like to do. Inside of my house, I went to look for my husband, and inside of my house, he was in the gun range that we had built in our house. We also had a bowling alley, and we had a pool that was indoor and outdoor. There was a little area there that looked like sand, like a beach feel to it. There was a hot tub. There was also a volleyball court, because I like to play volleyball, so we had a little gym area, but the volleyball net was set up for there. And then as I was sitting here thinking about all the different details in my house, my son comes up to me and he asks me, "What are you doing?" And I told him, I'm just sitting here dreaming about what life is going to be like when we have all the money in the world. And so I decided, let me ask him about his room. And I said, "What color will your room be?"
"It'll be green."
"It'll be green? Okay, and then what would your bed look like?"
It has 3 beds on there and sliding ladders.
3 beds on the floor? You have 3?
A bunk bed, 3 beds.
3 bunk beds in your room?
Nope. It's one that has 3 layers of beds on there.
Oh, okay. And then, well, what kind of decorations will you have all on your walls?
I have Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then what new toys will you have since we have all the money in the world?
I'll have a Hot Wheels mini garage. And I'll have a racer drone. And my favorite toy of all is going to be a Power Wheel 4-wheeler.
A 4-wheeler. Oh, wow. And then, well, what will your TV look like?
It'll look like it has a computer this side and a TV this side, or whatever I type in the computer, we'll type in with the TV. The TV will have the same stuff. Okay,
and then when you open up your blinds, look out the window in your room, what will you see?
A whole bunch of chickens flying all around the house.
Chickens? Okay, and then what will be your favorite part of your new house?
It will be my computer that can type in with the TV, or then I can type in stuff and just some smart out.
All right, so as I wrote down all of his ideas, included with mine, I ended up falling asleep. And when I fell asleep, I woke up the next day to a text message. I get a text message every morning to show me what my bank account statement balance is. And this day when I woke up, I saw a bunch of zeros. I didn't believe what was happening, so I looked at my phone again, and I saw a bunch of zeros again. So I went online and I checked my account balance, and I was officially a billionaire. All right, so your imagination is your future. You're able to use your imagination to build what you think you want your future to look like. And you're able to bring back images of what you pictured. You bring them back to the present, and then you're able to start working on these images, working on these visualizations that you have to create the type of future that you want to create. Because all we have is the present moment to work in. The future is what we look forward to. The past, we cannot change it. All we ever do is live in the now. So when you give yourself the luxury and space to go out and imagine what could be, you're setting yourself up for a future toward what you actually desire. Many of us actually use our imagination in reverse. We use it to hurt us, and we don't do it intentionally. We do it because, remember last week when we talked about the power of the subconscious mind? When we talked about that, we said how the types of images that we put into our head, the types of things we watch, the types of the people we're around, the things we do, are implanting things into our brain to show us that that is what we want. So when we're thinking about the situation that we're in or the current reality that we live in, we often limit ourselves to believe that this is the only reality we can ever have. So we spend a lot of time visualizing and imagining what we don't want. We say we don't want financial stress. We don't want debt. We don't want to be fat. We don't want to be sick. We spend a lot of time saying what we don't want. And as we pointed out last week again, the subconscious mind doesn't understand the negative. So when you say, I don't want this, I don't want that, all your subconscious mind is picking up is that I want this, I want that. When you're focusing on all the things that are going wrong in your relationship and how you don't want this, you're telling your brain, keep giving me more of that. And so that's what's happening. We end up becoming a product of our environment because we do not challenge the reality that we live in. Okay? So a lot of times we become the product of our environment because that is all we see, that is all we know. And when we are around something for so long, we start to believe that this is the only world out there. I know people who are in their 30s who said that they've never left the area that they lived in, and it wasn't until they got older, in their 30s, that they finally went out of town, finally went on their first trip, that they realized how many different things were there. They realized that it was more than just Chicago. They realized that it was more than just the people who they normally seen. They realized that it was more than just city life. It was actually the country, and it wasn't just what they saw on TV, it was what they saw in real life. All right, and we can end up getting stuck as being a product of our environment because poverty, that right there is a result of the mentality that someone lives in. We can get stuck in poverty because our grandparents were, they lived in a state of poverty. Then they teach it to us. They teach it to our parents. Our parents teach it to us, and we teach it to our children. So we never learn to invest, to get stocks, to save our money, to get the education we need to get ourselves out of this poverty. We are doing the things we have already learned. People learn how to survive off of things like welfare programs, and they learn how to use the government assistance programs to get food, to pay for housing, and they don't know any other way. People learn how to love or how not to love from the environment that they live in. People learn how to be manly or ladylike from their environment, from the people who are influencing them, people who are around them. People learn how to eat. Their diets come from their environment. Like if you live in Mexico, you might eat like how Mexicans eat. You live in Africa, you will eat African dishes. You live in America, the Western diet will be your staple diet and the staple way you know how to eat. People learn how to be social from their environment or not be social. Like I know us, we're doing homeschool. And a lot of people are saying how, aren't you afraid your child won't be able to socialize? But my child is out there. He's involved in a lot of other things where he will have that experience to be able to socialize in different ways other than what I do with him. Because I understand the importance of him not being limited to the one environment that he knows. People learn how to make a living from the environment that they live in. So if all you see are drug dealers around you, all you see are hustlers, that's what you're going to do. If you see people who are entrepreneurs, if you see people who are doctors and lawyers, then that type of lifestyle you're going to be geared to go for. People learn how to talk different languages based on their environment. People learn their values from the experience that they have with the environments they live in. And the only way out of this reality that people know of the learned experiences that they share is for them to believe that nothing is impossible. Impossible is just a word that you can break down to mean that I'm possible. So anything you can possibly think of is something that can actually be achieved. Just think about it. How come people from the same race can end up either really rich or really poor? How come one person with breast cancer can go into remission and have a successful recovery, and the other one loses their life to it? How come one sibling that was raised in the same household with abusive parents one of them can graduate from college, have a career, and be able to live independently, yet another sibling can drop out of college, have a drinking problem, and be bouncing around from house to house? Some people limit themselves to the reality that they live in and the reality that they have always known. Some people simply cannot imagine a reality that is different from their own. However, with the sibling situation, the other sibling was able to use their reality to understand that this is not what they wanted. So they were able to visualize and dream of what they could do if they could actually live the reality that they wanted. If they actually could live in a household that wasn't abusive, what would their life look like? And not internalize things for how they are currently to how they will always be. So like I said before, we tend to use our imagination against us, and that's what the last sibling did, understanding their reality to be that they live in a home with abusive parents. So they did things to hurt themselves. They did what they saw. They didn't succeed. They didn't end up going through college. They didn't end up being able to be independent. They end up with a drinking problem because they allowed the same situations that they are saying that they are going through to keep happening to them, and it was able to manifest itself in other ways. All right? And we talk and we think about what we don't want so much, and that programs us. to keep us stuck. So we just loop ourselves back around and around and around to have the same reality. And all this can be changed if you start to think outside of the box. Okay? The box, if you think within the box and you limit yourself, the box creates limited beliefs. And an example of this is the Egyptian pyramids. They were thought at first to just be some kind of large land monument, like many of the other ones that we're seeing around the world. And then when people started thinking outside of the box because they saw how detailed and different the Egyptian model was to everyone else's model, they were able to piece together important facts like the pyramids are really connected to the cosmos. And if people were still thinking what's in the box, they would have never known that. They would have kept thinking it's like everything else in the land. And when they were able to think outside of the box, they were able to see that it goes further than that. So thinking outside the box opens your mind to a world of unknown possibilities. It opens your mind to ideals, solutions, information. All this stuff was previously not permitted to us because we don't allow ourselves to imagine sometimes. We don't allow ourselves the luxury of escaping our current reality. Okay, everything you can perceive in this life, anything you can touch, anything you can taste, anything you can see, these are all things that were created by somebody who was being imaginative, by someone who created something from nothing, from someone who could see themselves in a situation and just think, how do I get myself out of this situation? This is from someone who, was hot, living in a hot climate, and thought, what if I could live here and not be hot? And then they may have started imagining different things they could do to be able to still live in the same environment, but have some climate control within their home. And then they probably had a vision of a box. They didn't know what the box was, this device was, and they just kept looking into it, and eventually they created the first air conditioner. I'm just saying, like, that's how it works. You start, when you have a problem, you don't just keep thinking about the problem, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. You think about, what if I can be here and not be hot? What if I can control this? What if this could happen? What if that? You open up your world to what if. And like, you can apply this to other aspects of your life, like the person who has cancer can either maintain the current reality that they live in, that the medication that they're taking right now, which is most likely the Western medicines from the Western doctor, that what they're taking right now is causing other side effects where it's making the disease completely intolerable and they're just in a lot of pain and probably want to die, want it to be over with sooner. Or they can start thinking, I don't want to feel this way, I don't want to die, I don't want to continue out the rest of my life to be battling this disease and having other side effects just from the medicine I'm taking. And that may open up their world to thinking, what can I do about this? And once they do that, they'll have other ideas. They're going to be thirsty for other perspectives, other resources that are out there where they might be able to then go look into the Eastern medicine and see what they're doing in China about this situation, what other alternatives they have to medication, and then be able to probably even heal themselves that way. But if they stay stuck in that box, their belief of their reality is limited to what's inside that box. So in this case, if they stayed inside their Western box, a Western medication, Western doctors, what they're saying for you to eat and do, and what medicine to take, then they would have stayed within that box and never discovered that there are people around the world who were thinking differently than them, doing different things to them, and actually had cures for things that they were going through. Right. Now, what does creativity mean to you? Right? So creativity is an original idea, something that's new, novel, fresh, unusual, experimental, inventive, ingenious. Right? And currently what we like to do is we'll get started on something that we feel like is something that's getting us outside of the box, right? Like I have on this slide a picture of somebody using a shopping cart to grill meat. And them using the shopping cart to grill meat, And then another one is of people inside of a truck, the back of a truck, and they converted the truck to make it look like a pool, a swimming pool, or even a hot tub. I'm not sure if it's cold water or hot water. But so these people are actually trying to get a little bit creative. And I say a little bit creative because they were able to start finding problems toward their solution. However, they weren't opening up their world fully to higher possibilities. And I say this because they are living what they are doing things that are within their means, that are showing their financial situation. Like the grill with the shopping cart is showing their financial situation because they could have had a vision of grilling something. They could have actually had a bigger vision of, you know, actually creating the first grill. Yeah, this is just a picture, but I'm just imagining, okay? So they could have had the image of actually creating the first grill, the charcoal grill, and they used only their resources. However, if they opened up their mind to a world of possibilities, they may have figured out that they can use other material to do this and also be able to sell it, because these are something that they put their hard work and effort into making. When you see things like this, when you see things like somebody taking small steps to show that they are creative and that they can provide solutions, oftentimes it's reflected as being ghetto, being ghetto when people do these small steps toward innovation. And I'm going to give you the Urban Dictionary definition of ghetto, and I'm giving you the Urban Dictionary version because that shows the current mindset of how we feel in this day and age about this word, because we can go back to what the root of the word means, but then we can also see how it changes throughout time to mean something completely different to today's generation than what it did before. So ghetto in the Urban Dictionary is described as one state of mind in an impoverished, neglected, or otherwise disadvantaged residential area of a city, usually troubled by a disproportionately large amount of crime. This is synonymous with urban and inner city. All right, so when people are battling their ideas not being quote unquote good enough, they look at it as something that's janky, or look at it as something that's ghetto, and that stops them in their tracks from being able to expand out to more creative ideas, or more ideas that are created in a world of abundance. So that person who uses a fan with ice to keep cool because they don't have an air conditioner, or that poor person the community who lives in poverty, they want to play basketball, but they don't have basketball courts, so they end up using crates to create their own basketball courts to be able to practice basketball. They could have not done that. The people with who are using the candlelight when they don't have any lights at their home, they could have not done that. They could have just stayed in the dark. The people who were playing the basketball, they could have not done that, and their children who grew up to be famous basketball players could have never had the exposure to basketball because they decided that, you know what, they weren't going to do it the quote-unquote ghetto way. They were just going to not play basketball because they had no courts near them, or they weren't going to be able to practice as much because they had to drive too far out to get to the nearest basketball court. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do at the moment, but always think about how to make your dreams. Realize that if you are getting a little bit creative, keep it going. Keep it going to where you're making your creation into something that is coming from a place of abundance, not a place of lack. So don't allow the definitions others give you to prevent you from creating or imagining what you want to imagine, because then you fall back into that box. And once you fall back into that box of doing things a certain way to please certain people, then you limit yourself. You're back there again in your limited beliefs, and you're not taking yourself as high as you can. Right? So I want everyone, when they are practicing being creative, to practice living in a world of abundance. So when you're being creative, you're going to believe that everything is possible and all things can come to you. And you can start this creative process by simply daydreaming. There are lots of benefits when it comes to daydreaming. You can lower your blood pressure. You can increase your learning ability. You can have stronger working memory. And this also promotes your creativity. So when you daydream, you're literally escaping your reality. you are able to escape your reality so much so that your body responds as though you are really living out whatever you're daydreaming about. So you may think that you're on the beach, you know, under the hot sun, reading a book. And you may actually start to sweat or feel warm, like you're there. If you're in a cold environment, you may feel like you're now on a tropical island. If you are dreaming about food or eating some food, like you're going to be going home to grandma's house soon, and that's what you're at work dreaming about, is going home to grandma's house and knowing she's going to cook your favorite pie. You may actually start to salivate because you're thinking about taking a bite of that pie. A lot of times guys, when they dream about they're having a fantasy about a female, they may actually, you know, start showing signs that they are thinking about something sexually. So the power of daydreaming is very important because you realize how intense your visions can be, and these visions can drive you to making it a reality. And sometimes these visions that you have from daydreaming can cause what we call deja vu. And that's when something has already been seen. So you may be daydreaming about something happening just because you don't want to be where you currently are. So whether it's at work, whether it's at your in-laws' house, whether it's at a party, or you're just somewhere bored, or just somewhere you don't want to be at or don't want to be doing. You may think about something else, or something may pop in your head, and you're thinking about this. And then later on in life, something similar to what you dreamt that day, what you were daydreaming that day, will happen, and you will realize, oh, I feel like this is deja vu. I've definitely seen this before or done this before. And you feel like that because when you daydream something, it feels so real. It feels so real, and it has such a vivid picture in your head that when you notice that it happens in real life, this is what happens. You recall it. You recall it like it was an event that you actually experienced. Okay, and then I want to remind you all that in order for you to use the power of your imagination, you have to begin to live it. You don't just dream it. You don't just daydream it. You don't just creatively write it out. You have to start to live your dreams. Here's a quote from Walt Disney. He says, "I dream. I test my dreams against my beliefs. I dare to take a risk. And I execute my vision to make those dreams come true." So that's showing that he first had to have a dream. He first had to have envisioned it, used his imagination to see what it would look like to do exactly what it was that he wanted to do. And then he had to take images that he had of those dreams, whatever he could recall from it, and see how he really felt about it. If this was to happen, he had to test it against his beliefs. So if this was to happen, is this what I really want to happen? What values am I honoring if I do this? What would I be leaving behind? What would I have to change? What would be different about my life if I was to pursue this dream? And then he said he dared to take a risk. And when you take that risk, you must realize sometimes it's going to go with changing your environment. Sometimes it's going to go with changing your crew, who you hang around, or how much time you hang around this current crew. You may have to, if you want to own a boat, you have to hang around those who already own boats. So then you start to understand what it takes to own a boat. You start to be around boats more often. You start to learn things about boats you didn't know before, even probably practice driving a boat, even seeing different boats you didn't know existed before, and then eventually you will have that boat. But you have to take that risk to change your life the way you need it to be that person who you want to become to get this dream to become a reality. And then he says that he needs to execute his vision to make those dreams come true, and that's what we just talked about. You have to actually walk the walk. Once you picture what it could be like, you start walking in the direction to make it happen. You have to have all faith within you, all faith within you, all faith in the Creator, all faith in everything, that you are going to be able to live out your dream. That it's not just a dream, it's something you can actually obtain. And once you start to believe that for real and actually start to chase after your dream, start taking actions you can take now to go after that dream, you're going to see like a miracle that doors begin to open up and get you to the place where you always want to be, where you're desiring to be and where you're going. Right, so when you dream, you also want to make sure that when you wake up from a dream, that you start writing it down. So I'm giving you right now some practical ways to awaken your imagination. Okay, so the dream journal. Whenever I have a dream, I wake up right away and I write down all the details I can remember, as many details as I can remember, because every detail matters. And a lot of times that happens is if I have something that I'm struggling with, some kind of a challenge, or something I just need a solution for, I'll ask myself, how can I fix this? Or what can I do to get to this? I won't just focus on the point like I need a new car. I'm going to focus on the point of, how do I get a new car? What kind of car do I really want? What is my next car? What car will suit me and my family? You know, you're going to ask yourself a question like that right before you go to bed at night. And then if you happen to have a dream, you wake up and record everything you remember. Now, I don't do that just with the dreams that I actually ask myself for a solution for, but I do that with all my dreams because they all mean something for the most part. Now, you are going to have some wacky dreams that happen, and that's going to be because, like we said, with the subconscious mind, you may be watching things or listening to things that are playing out in your mind where it makes no sense at all, and that's because your subconscious mind believed that it was true. However, your dreams are a way for your mind to figure out questions, to figure out solutions to problems that you have, or to even just guide you along your journey in life. So you write down everything that you remember from your dream, and you start to analyze what it actually means to you. And I say what it actually means to you because what may mean one thing to you will mean a completely different thing to me. Like I know one time I had a dream about vultures. And I wrote down all the details of my dream, and I was looking up every little detail of it. But when it got to the vultures, and I had to start to investigate what a vulture meant to me, I didn't even want to go there because to me, vultures meant death. It meant somebody dying. It meant me dying. It meant death. And so I avoided for a while, and then I realized that I was stuck kind of in all my dreams having this symbol of a vulture because I still hadn't explored it yet. So then I just decided I was going to go online and see the different meanings of what symbolism came from the vulture. And it symbolized rebirth. So yes, it was death, but it was death in the form of rebirth. And so just my limited belief I had about what a vulture meant to me kept me in my box where I didn't know if this was something I even wanted to explore. And it was funny because when I looked at that dream, it made no sense for a vulture to mean death, me dying or somebody dying compared to the other details of the dream. But then when I looked outside of my box and I saw other definitions, other meanings of the word vulture or what a vulture meant to other cultures and things like that, then I was able to make more sense in my dream because that completely fell in line with my dream than what I currently was thinking. So write down anything you remember from your dreams and apply your own meaning to it, and then look up outside sources to figure out what else it could possibly mean, just to give yourself clues as to what your dream was trying to tell you. Okay? And another thing you can do to awaken your imagination is to practice the creative writing in your notebook. Like me, when I was telling you about my dream I had, or about how I was preparing myself to become a billionaire, I was writing what that would look like to me, what I would have as a result of that. How would I be? What I would be driving? How would I look? What types of things would change? What would my environment be like? So you can write creatively like that. So anything that you want to try to change in your life, like if it's losing weight, what will I look like as a skinny this person? Or how much weight am I actually trying to lose? What kind of clothes would I wear then? What would my hair look like? What types of things will I do as a skinnier version of me? You know, you write things down like that so that your mind knows what you're going after. Okay, and you don't even have to just write down for solutions or problems. You can also just creatively write. What is coming to your head at the time? Is there a story there? Write it down. Is there a poem? Write it down. Is there a song? Write it down. Anything that's creatively coming to you, keep you a creative writing notebook. You can also draw or sketch whatever comes to your mind. You can paint. And you can also meditate. Meditation helps to give you that space you need to let your mind just run loose. Run loose for a while and get all of its thoughts out, all of the things it could possibly think about out. Let it play out in your mind. Meditation helps to calm your mind. Okay, and I'm going to talk to you right now about my vision board. So I encourage everyone who hasn't done so already to definitely have a vision board about any big goal you want or any futuristic goal that you want to accomplish. So for me, I have a picture up here, and it's my vision board. This is about my overall business plan and the future I saw for myself. And it's funny because as I'm looking at it right now, I see a picture of an outdoor kitchen and a pool. And this is exactly kind of what I was talking about when I said that I wanted an outdoor kitchen and a pool. That kitchen has a grill in it, and that's what I was saying. I wanted the stove to basically be the grill, and then there's just like a little refrigerator there for a cooler. So that's actually my board. So for me to keep talking about it, it's something I really want because I even included a picture of it on my vision board, and I'm just now realizing that. And then as I look on my board, too, I see it says thinking about business, and it has things about stocks and bonds and economic security. Now, those are also things that I was saying that I wanted. It has small business billionaires on there. Okay, it has my family on there. It has homeschool. And right now I'm currently about to be starting my homeschool. So I'm already starting to live out this dream that I had, this overall vision I had for myself. I have entrepreneurship on there, and I am an entrepreneur now. I have vacations on there, and I should be going on a vacation really soon. I have investments, and I actually have been making investments. So the things that are on my vision board are things that I've actually been playing out in life, and it's not until now that I'm looking at it with you guys and I'm realizing how much of this is actually coming true. And then even right here in my purpose statement, I put that I would devote all my strength, knowledge, and resources toward owning a successful life coaching business to empower my clients to make conscious decisions to create the lives that they desire. And I honestly wasn't living up to that until recently, this month, when I decided I was going to make sure I made the weekly investment in what it is I'm trying to do. Because I was trying to wait until I was no longer at my main job, when I was able to quit that job and focus strictly on life coaching. But I'm able to do that now, even if it's just one day out the week, and that excites me because I see, just based on my vision board, how far I've come in the short amount of time I've come. I just started this in March. So I've come so far to accomplishing the things that are on my vision board. And my vision board sits in my house. It sits up above my desk every day where I can see it, and I review it every day. And so the importance of a vision board is when you make it for what you think your life will look like when you make it to this goal, when you actually create this goal. What smells will you smell? What will you see? How will things feel when you touch them? What will you taste? What kind of things will you be eating? Will you be sipping champagne? Will you be sipping wine? Maybe it's going to be infused water. What will you smell? What will you hear? You know, you have to put all this into your vision board. In my vision board, I even have a little recording where I recorded myself reading off my sensory goal, reading off my purpose statement. So then I remember, and it's planted in my subconscious mind about what I'm trying to do. And that's probably, or I'm pretty sure that that's why I've been able to accomplish a lot of this already, is because I program into my subconscious mind. So even though I'm not constantly thinking about it every second of the day, it's back there where I'm doing something to make this happen. And like my little cup on there says, do what you love to do, love what you do. And that's exactly why I'm pursuing life coaching full time. So if you have a goal that you want to actually accomplish, I encourage a vision board. I encourage a vision board because it reminds you, it's a constant reminder, and it's really big. We have to put it somewhere where you're going to be able to see it. You're not going to want to just close it up and put it in the closet. You're going to want to display it. So you walk by it, somebody else walks by it and asks you about it, and then you have to recall it again just to make sure you do it. So it really comes in handy because then you can even see, whenever you decide you want to review it, how far along you've gotten in it and what you've been able to accomplish thus far. And so on mine, it says within 1 year. So I guess when we get to the 1 year mark, I'll be able to look back at this board and see everything that I've been able to accomplish and what's still unfolding or what has already unfolded. All right, now that's all there is that I have for you all today, and I want to thank everybody who did join me today on this conference call. I did not open up the lines for questions yet. I will at the end, and I just want to say stay tuned for next week, because if you have a teenager, I would like your teens to be involved. We're going to actually have an interactive sessions for the teens right as they're starting off going right back to school so that we can get in touch and in tune with who they are and open up their world to new possibilities for this school year. All right, thank you, Star Pupils, and have a good night.